I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. Doesn't it feel good to be back? It's been such a long time. This has been probably the longest amount of time that I have ever taken off, ever, since I've ever started. Man, like this was a solid, good week. I don't know that I used to take off like four or 5 days in the summer. I don't know. It feels like forever. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. This is the 546th episode of the show. The title, Records, Updates, Scandals, and Shakeups, Local and State. I just really was fighting over what the title would be. I wanted to call it so many different things, but I just needed to get down and tell you what it is. The devil is in the details, in the description. For those of you that follow the descriptions, I know a lot of you say, yeah, that you read them. So many of you say, nah, that doesn't matter to me. I don't really care about what that is. I don't follow all that. I'm thankful for those of you that do. Then you know what we're going to talk about each night. I put time and effort into that, so I appreciate those of you that do go through and read it. For those of you that watch it and don't care, I guess thank you too, that it's all the same to me, because I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about, whether you read it or not. Either way, we are here tonight, and we have a lot to talk about, so we can kind of get a game plan on where we're going for those of you that might be here and might not know how we do things here. I know we're going to be having some people here that are listening that maybe normally don't listen, okay, because they want to hear about one specific topic or another. I'm going to let you guys know we're going to go through this. This will be pretty easy to kind of go through and let you guys know. We have 5 topics that we're going to be talking about this evening. We got 5 different topics. It's kind of an action-packed night. Normally, we only have 2 to 3 topics, so we're going to kind of get through it. All right. Before we get into that, as we always say, please, if you're new here and you're on YouTube, smash that thumb, give us a like. Please consider doing so. Nothing costs you any money. You can subscribe. It's free. Give us a like. It's free. If you want to communicate with us, go ahead and talk over there on the live chat. You can do that. We will interact with you, maybe. If you're here via the replay button in the future, welcome. You matter to us too. If you want to communicate down below. And above all else, and along with everything else, share the show with everyone you know. Specifically, if you're from Muncie, Delaware County, If you're from the Newcastle, Henry County area, Middletown, Knightstown, Henry County area. If you are from Indiana as a whole, just anywhere in Indiana, we're going to be talking about Indiana stuff tonight. So tonight, specifically tonight, we're going to be talking about the City of Muncie. We're going to be going over some records that I received right before I went up north for the funeral. So we have some records to go over tonight from the City of Muncie. It's not going to take very long. We're going to go through them. We're going to just hit them kind of as a cursory overview tonight, and then we're going to talk about them at a later date. Then we're going to go into a Sproles watch. Sproles watch, sound the alarm. We do have a Sproles watch. So the Sproles watch is up, and we will do that. I will give you guys some information, and I think there's going to be a lot of people here that want to hear about that tonight. From there, sticking with the theme of Henry County law enforcement, we're going to also be talking about Middletown/Knightstown Police Department. Specifically, there's a video that's out and going around, and we're going to be talking about that video. And I think some of you are going to be maybe pleasantly surprised, maybe unpleasantly surprised. Some of you are going to be happy or not happy. I'm coming at it from a couple of different angles, so that's going to be a biggie. And then, man, I hate talking about it, and almost could have not talked about it, but kind of along the same line as the Sproles thing, and I'll get into it a little bit furthermore. We're going to then be talking about the fourth topic, which is this sex crimes arrest of a suspect, the adult son, Jonathan Paternal. Jonathan Paternal is the adult son of a mentor and close friend, podcast host, fellow preacher with Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. And we've got to talk about it just because of what's going on. They keep making moves that continue to make this something that we would talk about in the public sphere. So we will get there. And then we will wrap up with the news and my thoughts on what we are all likely to hear tomorrow, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Mike Braun is, from everything that I'm hearing, going to call for a special session of the Indiana General Assembly to come back, not to deal with the crazy property taxes and not to fix that fiasco that they put together and pushed out with us, for us, against us, however you want to look at it, but for this redistricting nonsense. So we're going to be talking about all that. That's the 5 issues. We're going to get through it, and just bear with us. Listen, the one other thing I want to say before we get started, before we dig into all of this, is I've had a lot of people over the last couple of days, since I've posted my first post about Sheriff Sproles, I've had a bunch of people say, well, what is it? Tell us the news. What do you mean? What's going on? All I see is here, you've just made a post, and I don't, what are you, tell us what the news is. I used to do that. First of all, before I ever broadcast, before I ever had a podcast, I did that. I would post about it on Facebook, and I would post about it on my Facebook account, and then somebody would share it, and then people would be commenting under 2 different things. Or I have 2 Facebook pages. I have my Facebook page and the Political Spotlight, and it's shared there, and then it's shared in various groups, Henry County groups, and so it's shared out there like to 15 different pages. And now I've got people commenting on all different pages, asking similar questions, different questions. Some people are cross-posted. Some people are posted just in one section. And I get people who are wanting me to answer all of these questions. And I could take my time and I could go to each little thing where someone asks me the same question over and over and over. And I could take hours of my life and answer those questions. Or I could tell everybody, hey, tune in tomorrow night, tune in Sunday night. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to lay it all out there, and you can hear it there. And then I get these people say, oh, I see. This is just a plug. This is just something to get us to listen to a shitty podcast. Look, nobody's forcing you to be here. I didn't pull out a gun and say, tune in tonight. Nobody's forcing you to be here. If you want to know what the information is, tune in. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you my time 50 different times during the day to answer a bunch of questions. I've got information. If you want to know what it is, I'm telling you where you're going to hear about it. Tune in. You don't have to tune in tomorrow night. You don't have to listen to the Muncie stuff. You don't have to go back and watch my episodes 3 weeks ago. If you want to hear what I have to say about Sproles, tune in tonight and listen. If you don't want to watch live and you don't want to go through all this bullshit and babble, watch it. Tune in 2 hours. Tune in tomorrow and speed through till I'm talking. I'll even put up a little headliner down there so you'll see when I'm talking about Sproles. I make it very easy for you. No one is forcing you to listen. No one is forcing you to be here. But the number one thing, and I want to go ahead and welcome producer Kate. Producer Kate's here, working the controls and doing things and making sure shit's going right. If you want to give her a big round of applause and thank you, or hit the like button for her, that would be great. But she has added here, she's in the comments under the political spotlight. The number one thing is, she stated, and you needed to confirm some things. That's the other issue. This is something I've been working on and been hearing about for the last several weeks. And I, contrary to popular opinion, I am not a reporter. I am not a journalist. I'm not out here sharing just the facts, just the news, giving it to you straight down the center. I'm a political commentator. This is an opinion piece, but I try to be as factual as possible. Now, just because you don't like what I say doesn't mean that I'm lying or that I'm not correct. It just means you don't like what I'm saying. And there are times that I do get things wrong. When I get things wrong, I bring it forward before other people do. I try to apologize for that as soon as possible, and I own up to it. I don't just say stuff and leave it out there. If we're wrong about something, I own up to that. But I just want you all to know that we try to be as factual here as possible along with my information. And people's like, well, he's just talking. Yeah, that's what this is. This is my talk show. That's what this is. This is me giving the information and giving my opinions behind it. So I'm not trying to be shitty to anybody or be crappy or rude or whatever. But I've seen so many people just in the last couple of hours be like, well, I got to sit around and wait and listen. No, you don't have to. If you don't want to hear about it, move on. It's not that hard. Okay. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it so we can get there. Nice haircut, by the way. Yeah, it's not. I tricked all of you people. I made it without actually getting a haircut. I still haven't shaved. I still haven't gotten a haircut. I'm going to try to this week. We've got a big Republican event in Delaware County on Tuesday. I'm going to try to get it tomorrow. A lot of places aren't open tomorrow. We'll see what happens on Tuesday morning. I need to get it cut. It's horrible. It's actually terrible. So, okay. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it. Straight out of the gate, we're going to handle the Muncie records, the records. I went away for a funeral last week. My brother was in from Sicily, and right before we left, I got contacted by the communications director of the City of Muncie and said I had some records to be picked up, and told me that I owed $48. No, excuse me. I was going to be crazy. That's what we originally thought was $48. I was like, that's 4,800 pages. What are we talking about here? I owed $4.80, which means there were 48 pages. And that's not really a crazy piece, but we went up there and I did get some records. Okay. First and foremost, the first thing up is this record It is a on Muncie Fire Department letterhead. Now, I want to tell you, I do not have any of these pictured. I don't have any of these taken, and I don't have any of these posted. As you see these tonight, this is when I am first going through them because we just got back and I've had a lot of stuff to deal with. So I started to go through these and I thought, you know what? No, I'm just going to go through them with you all on the show. And then I'm going to just knock these out really quickly. And then I will go through them a little bit more in the next couple of days and do a show if we need to. So this first document is a Muncie Fire Department letterhead. And this is a letter from Daniel Burford, the fire chief of the City of Muncie, dated October 1st, 2025, to the City of Muncie Common Council, the City Council. And the subject is support for Build, Operate, Transfer, BOT, agreement for Fire Station number 5. That's the new station that they're wanting to build. It's the station that's been the subject of the resolution 1625/1725, that whole fiasco. Very interesting, very strange here. Dear honorable members of the City Council, I am writing to express my full support of pursuing a build, operate, transfer agreement for the construction of Fire Station 5. Our experience using the BOT model for Station 6, currently under construction and approaching completion, has been very positive, and I believe it is a model well worth repeating. We've been fortunate to work with GM Development. Listen, GM Development. Okay. That's Greg Martz on Station 6, and the process has been smooth, efficient, and collaborative. Their professionalism, responsiveness, and attention to details have contributed significantly to the project staying on track, both in terms of timeline and quality. Interesting. You notice he didn't mention anything about budget. Are we staying on track with budget? Is it really truthfully going to cost the City of Muncie $9 million, or are we going to be over budget? I cannot wait until the day they have the ribbon cutting ceremony, the day that they say we are complete, because on that very moment that we are up there taking pictures of them all clapping and cutting the ribbon, I, my friends, will be operating my machine, sending out a record request to the City of Muncie for the full amount of the project, because I am of the opinion, ladies and gentlemen, I am of the opinion that it's going to be more than $9 million. Now, the new station they're wanting to build, it was part of the original deal. You remember when they wanted to build 2 stations for $18 million? One station for $9 million and the other station for $9 million? Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, they're wanting to build the new station, Station 5, over on Wheeling. They're wanting to build it for $11 million. So my question is that what we're closer to over at the one that they're currently building? I'm interesting. I'm very, 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 very interesting to see what's going to happen there. So time will tell. He goes on and he says, the bot structure combined with a capable develop partner like GM Development has proven to be a smart, forward-thinking approach to public structure. My whole issue is I would rather them put it out for bid and to not just handpick the person that we want to do the job. I would like to see how cheap we can do it. I would like to see how cheap we can do it, the best we can possibly do it. You know, the best it can be for the cheapest amount of money. I think GM Development is just, look, they're in it for the money. It is what it is. The benefits of the bot model. Minimized upfront capital investment. The bot model enables the city to move forward with its essential infrastructure projects without requiring full funding at the outset, helping preserve municipal resources. Accelerated project delivery. private developers have strong incentives to complete projects on time and within budget. With Station 6, we've experienced firsthand how this leads to timely progress and accountability. Again, I would like to know what we have going on with Station 6. What is the cost? Look, we might be on budget. I've just not heard them say anything about it. Yes, Miranda, absolutely. Cheap, but quality work is a necessity. And look, maybe GM development is there, but I'm telling you, generally in city government, in municipal government, in state government, when you deal with the government, you're bidding it out amongst many different developers. That's not how the mayor of Muncie likes to do things. They like to do things differently here, okay? Risk transfer, construction and financing risks are borne by the private partner throughout the development phase, reducing the city's exposure to unexpected cost or delays. Operational efficiency and expertise, performance-based accountability, long-term cost savings, that is yet to be seen. Transfer of ownership at the end of the BOT term, in this case, completion of construction. The facility is transferred to the city, fully operational. Infrastructure modernization where it's most needed. Station 5's first due area includes a large portion of our city's high-rise structures and some of the densest population zones. Where is that at in the city, you ask? It's Ball State University, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's Ball State. Is Ball State paying for this? How much are they paying for this? Should they be paying more? Should they be paying for nearly everything? Additionally, the building's condition continues to deteriorate, the current station, that is, creating daily challenges for our firefighters and EMS personnel and increasing maintenance costs that only prolong the unstable status quo. Given the momentum and positive outcomes we've seen with Station 6, I believe the same BOT approach, potentially with GM development or similarly qualified partner, would be an ideal solution for Fire Station 5. It's a model that not only protects the city's financial interests, but also delivers high-quality infrastructure for our residents and first responders. Our firefighters and residents deserve a facility that matches the critical role Station 5 plays in protecting our city's busiest and most structurally complex areas. I respectfully urge your support for using the BOT agreement for Station 5. Sincerely, Daniel A. Burford. Okay? And look, it might be right. It might be okay to do. The sad thing is with builders in these scenarios, if they aren't vetted, they will be in it for the money. Problems tend to run rampant years down the road due to subpar work. The taxpayer money is being used. It's due to the citizens to work for the last. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. Absolutely right. And yes, so Brian, that's a good question for those people that aren't from Muncie. So the city of Muncie has a series of fire stations built throughout the city. The city of Muncie, at one point when these stations were built, the city of Muncie boasted a population of 8,000 population. Delaware County had a population of well over 120,000. That was back in the factory days. We are under that 88 to 80,000 population now. Definitely, we are more in the high 60s or maybe low 70s now. So we have a number of large station houses around the city of Muncie that are put there in a, you understand how how public safety works. So it's scattered throughout the city. We have 1s, 2s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 stations. Station 5 was in a very bad. Station 6 was in a very bad condition, and it needed. I'm in agreement that it needed to be. Something needed to be done, that we needed a new station built. My question when we had this problem back over the last several years was, why are we looking to spend $9 million on one station when in Fort Wayne, they spent $10 million on 2 stations. In the city of Fort Wayne, they built 2 stations for $10 million. And down here in Muncie, little old Muncie, we built 1 station for $9 million. It just never made any sense to me. Aaron says, why don't they use old Station 1 DCEMS? Remind me where that 1 station is, Aaron. I don't know the Delaware County EMS. I don't know where that station is off the top of my mind. If you can remind me. Yeah. Maybe that could help me. So that is record number 1 we received from the city of Muncie. Over the next several days, weeks, and months, will be asking for a series of new requests from the city of Muncie with what's going on at Station 6 and what they're looking to do at Station 5. And I will keep you all abreast with that information. Going to the Muncie City Council meetings and or paying attention to the Muncie City Council meetings November 3rd, in December, in January, for the monthly meetings, the first Monday of each month, it's going to be really important for the next 4, 5, 6 months, because you're going to want to stay up to date on what's happening with this situation. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know why they use that. As soon as I asked you, I figured it was probably down there next to Fire Station 1. I assumed it was that's what it was. I don't know why. I don't know. It that would be a good thing. Okay. The next set of records I received from the city of Muncie, ladies and gentlemen, are the records, the emails that we've already went over. So I'm not going to spend any time on these. These are the emails that were between the mayor's executive assistant, Shireen Wagley, and the Muncie City Clerk, Chief Deputy, or Deputy Clerk, Lacey Jones, those emails. And then the email between Lacey and the City Council Attorney, Dan Gibson, back and forth. And then an email between me and Lacey Jones. And then emails between Lacey and Amber Green, the Communications Director, and all of that. We've already went over this. There was nothing new in this packet, but I have this, and I'm glad I have this because I requested it from the council, but I also requested it from the administration. And my thing there was I wanted to make sure that the administration's records matched up with the council's records. Number 1, it does, so that's good. And number 2, I'll be able to use these as we go forward into November's meeting, when I ask the council to investigate what happened in this situation. And for those that are new here or haven't been following along, or it's not been here for a minute, this is in connection with the fiasco where the mayor's executive assistant, Shireen Wagley, turned in a resolution 1725, and wanted that to go onto the agenda so the council could consider it. And they used documentation that had Councilman Dale Basham's name on it. And she did that without getting his authority. So she put that forward without having him be aware of it. He didn't know about it. He was not aware of what was happening. And in my opinion, that's a problem. And they need to really look about what's going on there. So we're going to be dealing with that more as we go into the November 3rd meeting, and we will cover this more in detail, but that's what that is. So I just want to let you guys know. Okay, moving on. The next packet. This is an email that also belongs in that last, but this is not something that we went over. This is an email from Rick Yinser to Lacey Jones, asking if she could clarify that Basham actually withdrew the resolution of the fire station, and do you have a copy of the letter that a copy of another letter about something else? Lacey did confirm, yes, Basham withdrew resolution on the new fire station. He advised they would readdress it after the budget season. So this is just another example of where people are fully aware that Basham did withdraw the resolution, and it was his understanding, Basham's, that he would later resubmit that resolution when he was ready to do so, and that when Shireen did it, it was done without his knowledge. So this is a big deal. Okay, the next grouping of packets, ladies and gentlemen, and we're not going to go through all of these emails tonight. I'm just letting you know that I have them and I will be going through them, and they are also in connection with the fire station. These are emails between the mayor of Muncie. They are between Shireen Wagley, the mayor of Muncie, and the president of Ball State University. And these emails are talking about fire station number 5, the one that they are wanting to build. Not the one that's currently being built, but the one they're wanting to build that is in Ball State's backyard. And it's just interesting because I did look through these a little bit. And when looking through these, they're talking about, are we going to set up this meeting? It's going to be on the agenda. It's going to be on the agenda in September. It's going to be on the agenda in October. But there's no emails asking Ball State for how much they're going to put in, or if they are going to put in, if you're putting some in, can you put more in? It's Ball State University. We're supposed to be developing this great relationship. We want you to help out with this fire station. That's basically where it's at, because it's going to be serving your area, Ball State. So, you could be a good friend to us the way that Dan is always concerned about being a good friend to you. So these are emails that we will go through. I do have them, and they are from Dan, Shireen, and the president of Ball State. So we do have copies of these, and as we get ready to deal more with this fire station stuff, we will deal with that. Okay, we're almost to the Sproles stuff. I just want to let you guys know what we have here. Okay, the second to last amount of files I have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. About 12 or 13 files here. And these are invoices from Flatland Resources for the work that they have allegedly been doing on Till Pond. Description: Till Pond Park Design Services per the January 17th, 2025 contract. And this is for $6,000. Okay. Till Pond Park Design Services. This was dated on 6/30 of 2025. The due date was July 7th, $6,000. We have an invoice date on 5/20/2025, due date 5/30/2025. It's Till Pond Park Design Services. And it was for $9,000. Okay. We have an invoice dated 4/4/25 and due date was 4/14/25. Till Pond Park Design Services, Till Pond Construction Services contract. And the total here is $10,366.70. Okay. $2/17/25 is the invoice date. Due date 2/27/25. Tilpon Design Services, Tilpon Construction Services, $51,300. Okay. Invoice date August 4th, 2025. Due date August 4th, 2025. And this is for design services for $4,000. Invoice date March 25th, 2024. Clearing of understory, approximately 15 acres at 12th Street in Tillotson. Total $25,000. Tilpon invoice September 21st, 2023. Now, I want to make sure, because this is for $4,457.78, but I don't see anywhere where Tilpon is on it. So we'll put an asterisk next to that. $4,457.78. Okay. No. Now here's Flatland Resources again. Yeah, that last one was Flatland. Okay, so this is Flatland, and this is December 23rd, 2022. For professional services, design planner, intern professional services, $7,462.50. $7,462.50. Okay. And then the last one that I have here is 6/14/22 for $15,555. $15,555. So there is a lot of money that Tilpon has been receiving here for not doing. I mean, look, they've done some work. But this is a lot of money. And I don't know if it looks truthfully like the work that they've done, in my opinion, adds up to this. So we will be going through this more in detail at a later date, but I do have it. And then the very last thing that I have, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the biggie. And right after this, we're going in, Carrie McFadden in with the amount close to $140,000. Thank you. Before we're going on to Sproles next. Okay. So everyone here for Sproles, we're talking about it next. Okay. But this is the invoices that I've requested on Dustin Clark. And this is a check to Hoosier Municipal Operations for $9,957.40. Posted on 7/14/25, signed off by Michelle Owen. Okay, interesting. Hoosier Municipal Operations. And look, I'm going to have to go through this all and look at what the dates are, because look here. So on this invoice, they've got May 1st, Dora Christmas Downtown, $281.25. EPA Solar, May 2nd, $807.50. Revitalization mapping, project updates, CRP mapping, MRC meeting software mapping. Dora, DORA solar grant, CPR mapping, ECRP draft revision, revitalization. And they've got it May 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 6, 7, 7, 8, 12, 12, 13, 14, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 27, 27, 28, 28, 29. DORA, CCF, signage, MRC, DORA, Light Up Muncie City website, $1,010, $368, $816. I mean, this guy's getting paid total insanity. Total insanity. Okay. Speaking of this, Rose, he building a new house. Told guy probably won't have a chance. Stay in it. He'd be lucky he gets years. I don't. Yeah, that's interesting. No, because listen, Michelle's not there anymore. Remember, she works for Dustin's company. So then this is another invoice from 11/24/2024 to 11/30/24, and that's for $1,072. Here's an invoice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what this is. I'm pretty sure I've seen this one. This is the one where the dude literally said that he was working on New Year's and New Year's Eve, and it's for $8,000. I'm going to be really mad here if I don't have what this guy's been doing over the summer, because that's what all of this was supposed to be about. That very first one I read. Michelle Owen, $5,639. $8,075. Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw fit, because none of this covers what they did. This request here is not responsive to what I've requested, because it only two of these are new. Only two of these are new. Only two of those are new. So I'm going to have to contact Amber tomorrow, and we're going to have a come to Jesus meeting, because I understand it's up to Dustin to compile the stuff, but I've been waiting on this since July. It's October now, and we need to figure this out. I know that he's been working and he's been getting pay, and I don't have the invoices or the copies of the checks. They need to provide these, and we need to get them. So we'll have to still put a pin in that, but we will go through all these records in a further detail. I just want to let you know I've got them, and these, we got one, but I'm still looking. I should have about three more. I should have at least three more invoices, and they've not given us those, and that I'm going to have to make a stink about. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Eric. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going on to the Sproles update. People that don't know what the Sproles Watch means, long ago when we started talking about Sproles, we said that, I don't even know who said this. It was like a tornado warning. Anytime we talked about Sproles, we needed to talk, issue a Sproles Watch. It's that way people would be alerted to know when we were going to be talking about Sproles, and they could be prepared. Okay. I want everybody. Okay. So I want everybody to be prepared, to be aware to be prepared. We're gonna be talking about this, but for the new people, for all of you that have been here for a while, you all know. But for the new people, again, I don't consider myself a journalist. I am not a journalist. I didn't go to journalism school. I am a citizen who's been involved in politics since I've been 8 or 9 years old. I come up being involved in local, state, national politics. I've ran for office. I've worked on campaigns. I've worked on winning campaigns. I've worked on losing campaigns. I worked for people who were running for re-election, all the way from city council, mayor, sheriff, coroner, prosecutor, judges, state representatives, state senators, U.S. congressmen, and all of everything in between, okay, governors and the other state office holders, various different campaigns. And so I started trying to get people involved and get people active. Someone said, hey, you ought to do a podcast. My brother said, hey, you ought to do a podcast. I put it together, started doing it. I've now been broadcasting for about, I think next year will take me into what would be the 10th year since I've been doing this in some format. since 2016 is when I first started doing this in some format. I consider myself a political commentator. I'm an opinion person. Now, even though I'm an opinion person, I still have standards. I have a lot of people that call and tell me things, and just because I hear something doesn't mean I'm going to run with it. I might have somebody that calls me up tomorrow and says, hey, did you hear that Mayor Ridenour in Muncie is going to fire Dustin? Okay, just because I hear that doesn't mean I get up and make a Facebook post, Ridenour is going to fire Dustin. I do serious digging. I have sources and people that I go to. I have people that I contact, people that contact me, and those people that I work at until I get the information and I feel confident in it. And when I talk about politics, I always say, yes, Alva, I am going to do that because they need to comply with everything that he's turned in. From the last invoice that I had was for May, and it's included in there. And so they need to provide me June, July, August, September, and I'm sure we're not through October yet. So I'm okay with that. But they need to provide June, July, August, and September at least. And they need to do it this week. Okay, so here's the thing. When I talk about, Ryan Webb, check it out. When I talk about politics, politicians, public servants, elected officials, appointed officials, the people that we talk about on this show, okay, I've always said that I don't cover personal issues. I don't talk about personal issues. Okay? I don't talk about if there's a state representative who's cheating with his secretary and it's not somehow affecting the job, I do not talk about it. Okay? Now, if you've got the mayor in Muncie, or the mayor, no, I'm not going to say it. If you got the mayor in Dumbassville, and he is having an affair with a commissioner in Dumbass County, and because of that, they got a breakup going on, and now things are going sideways. They have allowed their personal life to stray into public business, and that might be something that gets covered. But I am very careful with personal topics. Oh, I'm going to look at this, brother. Thank you. So I'm very careful with that, and I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't. Oh no. I just got that, Ryan. Thank you for that text. I did not know that. Okay. So I'm very careful when personal issues come out. The other thing is, in politics, you have people that you support, you have people that you don't support. And just because I don't like somebody, just because I don't support somebody, I'm a Christian. You might not believe that. You might say otherwise. You might think otherwise. But I'm going to tell you, I sleep soundly knowing that my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. He died on the cross for me, for you, whether you like it or not. It rose 3 days later, and that the belief in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, that is my belief and my life. I try to live a godly life. I fall short of the glory of God every day. We all do. I've got a lot of stuff I need to do, but that's where I am. I don't wish ill on anybody, even my biggest enemies. I just want them to go away. I don't want them to be elected. I don't want them to be in the public light. I don't want them to be in the leadership positions. I don't want them to be in charge of people. There are people that absolutely hate me. I don't wish ill on them. I don't hope people get cancer. I don't hope people die. I don't hope people have that's just not how I think about things. I've never thought, even when I'm mad, that goes away quickly. I don't stay mad. I might stay, vigilant, but I don't stay mad. Okay. So I don't like Sproles. It's not a secret. I don't like John Sproles. I haven't liked Sproles for a long time. The way that Sproles and I came into contact, I was following the race in Henry County. I had people that I was in close association with that were lining up behind. There were several different candidates running. Somebody said, "Hey, you ought to check out this John Sproles." First thing I see the picture of him, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that dude looks like a sharp dude. He's like, looks like a sheriff, looks like somebody, looks like a good, looks like a military man, somebody that looks sharp in a uniform, and somebody that, probably his leadership, man, he's probably had 10, 15, 20 years on, and I was supportive of him, talked to him. Never dreamed of the fact that this guy could only have 2 or 3 years on the job. I would never have thought that. I talked to him a little bit, and the BS that he spouted out of his mouth, it sounded good. And then I got to talking to him, and I was hearing some things that he was saying, and it just didn't sound right to me. It just didn't sound normal what he was saying, and I started hearing more and more things. And I finally was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Well, he's only been on the department a couple of years." And I was like, "What?" And I found out that at the time he was running, had only been on like 2.5 years. And that gave me real pause. The office of sheriff in the state of Indiana is a constitutional office. You do not need to be a cop to be the sheriff. You do not need to be a police officer to be the sheriff. You don't need to be a deputy to be sheriff. Any one of you watching this that lives in the state of Indiana, that in your district that doesn't have a felony, can run for sheriff. And if enough people vote for you, you could be elected. Okay? That is the way that the Constitution is written. I think in the state of Indiana, we should probably work at amending that. I think that you should need some experience and to head that office. Okay? A bunch of stuff, Rachel, about MFD, but you'll have to go back and listen to it. We'll have to talk about it later. Now we're getting into the Sproul stuff. Matter of fact, I need to talk to you about this MFD stuff, so I'm glad we didn't cover it a whole lot. Anyways, so when I found out that the sheriff of Henry County, when he was running, only had a couple of years of experience, that really concerned me. And I started talking to him, started asking him questions. And I found out that this is not the guy that I was going to support or back. This guy was a clown. I quickly decided that this guy was not a leader. And I went in another way. And then after I decided that, Sproles went on to do a whole bunch of crazy other stuff while he was running. He won. He became sheriff. And I told everybody down there, I said, I am scared for you guys. I'm worried. And then I let it be. Have at it. And I didn't think about him. I didn't follow him. It was what it was. I thought if he makes it through and he doesn't do anything bad, cool. I won't, that'll be great. If he screws up, I'll hear about it and we'll talk about it then. Quickly thereafter, I heard he was fighting with the commissioners and he was spending money without getting approval and doing all of this weird stuff. Then I started hearing that he was doing all of these other really weird things. They were getting in pursuits and they didn't legally have the authority to do that. He was pulling people over illegally. He was outside of uniform, outside of a fully marked car, pulling people over in plain clothes in a plain car, which is illegal in the state of Indiana, doing all kinds of really weird things, making all kinds of wild accusations against people of color, against black people, against Hispanic people, wild stuff. Then he took a video of mine and he used it without my approval, without my consent, and he cut all my stuff out of it. And I simply sent him a message and I asked him to either attribute the video to me or to take it down. And he deleted me and he deleted the comment and he deleted me, blocked me and everything. So now we have a First Amendment lawsuit. Okay. I beat him in that. I beat Sproles in that lawsuit. Okay. It came out victorious for me. The judge ruled in my favor. I am now unblocked, and I was right. Sproles can't block any of you. Okay? Since then, Sproles has done a lot of wild things. Sproles alone, and you can go back and you can find this. Sproles point blank shot an African-American inmate with a beanbag rifle that you're not supposed to be as close as he was, 4 times in the legs, causing lots of surgery. Sproles has got the county in lots of lawsuits. Sproles single-handedly. And you can go back and I can point you. I got a video of it. You can go back and you can watch the exact point in time where the insurance agents from Travelers Insurance said that Sproles was a high-risk sheriff. And because of his high-risk attitude and his high-risk behavior, they were dropping Henry County. And that cost the taxpayers of Henry County. Sproles have committed a lot of different things, okay? Well, I'm going to talk to you about something. Through all of this, I kept it all above board. I didn't go personal. I heard personal things about Sproles, but we didn't talk personally, okay? Now I'm going to talk to you all about something. And it's a touchy subject. Okay? I'm gonna do it this way. Back up. Back up. A couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started hearing some rumors about Sproles. And I didn't run with them. I didn't post them. I didn't talk about them. I didn't post them on social media. I didn't talk about them on the show. I just listened to them. Behind the scenes, privately, quietly, I talked to a couple people that we know, that mutually we know. And I talked to them and I said, hey, what are you hearing? And a couple people had some rumblings. A couple people said, they weren't hearing much, whatever. A couple different things. Okay. I heard a couple different things here and there. I kept hearing some strange things, but it was quiet. And then a couple of days ago, while we were up north dealing with the funeral and doing all that stuff with the death in the family, I got someone that was messaging me, and this is a person that I consider to be a very real person. Okay. And they said, hey, there's some concern. The people of Henry County need to be concerned. And now, again, I'm just going to be really clear. If I heard that a county commissioner or a city councilor or a state representative was going through a personal disaster in their life, was going through a divorce in the family, or was their divorce, was going through some kind of a mental issue, diagnosed with bipolar, or having some kind of mental crack up or whatever, I probably would not talk about that. I probably would not discuss it. Now, if it came to a point where like it was a city councilor and that person was missing meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, it might come to a point where it needs to be discussed. Okay, at that point. Not why it's happening and not wishing ill. And I'm going to put this statement out here right now. I'm going to say this very clearly. I've already said this. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I'll say it forever. If there is an issue with John Sproles, physically, mentally, or in any other way, I do not think that that's funny. I'm not happy about it. If John Sproles is having some kind of an issue, whether it be accidental, like some, say God forbid someone's in a car wreck or has a blown shoulder and they need to have shoulder surgery, or they got a hernia or something like that, or cancer, I don't wish that on anybody. So I hope if John Sproles is sick physically or mentally, I hope that gets treated and taken care of the very soonest possible way for him and his family. I don't even care about the political aspect. For him and his family, I hope that I've been through that. I've lost people to cancer, lost people to other things. It's not funny. I don't wish it on anybody. If he has a problem, I hope he's resolving it, and I hope it gets fixed. I want to say that first and foremost. Also, if there is an issue that's going on that causes us to talk about maybe a physical or mental issue, I don't care what brought it on, and I'm not going to get into the he said, she said back and forth. I'm just going to talk about what it means for the citizens. That's all. Okay? So that's where we start. Okay? So I put out a statement the other evening that on 9/23 said, #SprolesWatch. Should the citizens of Henry County, Indiana, be concerned about the mental well-being of Henry County Sheriff John M. Sproles? I wasn't stating something. I wasn't saying they should. I was asking a question. And you could take Sproles out of there and put anybody else in there. You could take the position out. Let me ask you this. Should citizens of a community be concerned if a police officer that is in their community is currently having mental well-being issues? And let me tell you why I ask that. A police officer, a marshal, a deputy, a patrol officer, a police officer in the state of Indiana is the only position, it's the only person who can legally take your life as an American citizen. The military cannot take your life if you are an American citizen. A police officer can. A police officer in the state of Indiana, the sheriff, the police chief, town marshal, a detective, lieutenant, captain, SWAT officer, anyone that is a sworn law enforcement officer in the state of Indiana, they have the ability and the authority to take your freedom and to take your life. The question is, if there is an officer that is having a mental health issue, a crisis, is that something that citizens should be concerned about? That's the question. I put that out there. That's all I put out there. I put that out there. That question. And I started getting people messaging me saying, "Oh, that's not right. You shouldn't be talking about this. How dare you? How dare you talk about this? You shouldn't be. This is gross. You shouldn't talk about this. Blah, you really, screwed up this time." No, 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 I didn't. It's not fun. It's not polite. It's not nice. And there are people I know that'll take it too far, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I feel is pertinent to good civil society. Now, there are all kinds of rumors that I have heard. I'm not going to get into the rumors because the rumors do not matter. The rumors on why or how it comes to be does not matter. What matters is the fact that there have been the rumors that have stated that there is a real story and the official story. And if that's the case, folks, that is something that people need to be concerned about. I have heard that the official story is there was an accident which resulted a trip to the hospital. And that people are legitimately in his sphere, in his circle, talking about a trip to the hospital. And now I know for a fact that a trip to the hospital occurred. I don't know why it occurred. I've heard the reason for what people in his sphere are calling the real story. And while I am not going to get into the rumors behind what caused the real story, what I have heard from many, many people, not just rumored people, not gossip queens on the street, people that wear the uniform, that wear the badge, that wear a star, I'm hearing that he has been out of service because he has been unwell. And that in his absence, and this is one of the questions I talked about this on my other show with Rachel Saturday. I've heard that there's an interim step-in person that's been leading the department, and that's not the deputy chief. And to me, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm confused. Why would the chief deputy not be leading the department? So I'm going to reach out. I stated this yesterday. I'm going to reach out to the chief deputy. I'm going to simply ask, who has been leading the sheriff's department? Have you been leading the sheriff's department? Has John Sproles been leading the sheriff's department? Now, I am going to tell you, I was contacted by an individual today, and that individual today told me that they heard Sproles on the radio marking 10:42 today. Marking 10:42 on the radio, for those of you that don't know, is when a police officer in Indiana is marking end of duty. They're going home for the day. So I didn't hear it. I'm going to try to go back through and find it. I have access to the radio logs that are back. So I'm going to go back and see if I can find it and see if I can actually hear him marking 10:42. I don't know if that's true. I've been hearing that for the last little bit, he's been off and that he has been both at different times under the care of the hospital and under the care of family. And all I am saying is, if that is in case the fact, if that is factual, actual information, the citizens of Henry County deserve to know that for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's the top cop. He's the sheriff of the county. All right. He's leading a department that is budgeted so much money. He carries a gun. He's already, let's back up and talk about his actions over the last 3 years. He's already made a lot of decisions that have, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, been wildly mishandled. He has mishandled a lot of other issues when he allegedly has been straight as an arrow running around being perfectly normal. So if Sproles' ability to jump the gun and make irrational decisions and do questionable things when he's right as rain, is there a possibility that he could do something stupid or off kilter if something is wrong? And that is a thing that people need to talk about. Look, I don't come to Henry County. I do my very level best to stay out of Henry County. But the people of Henry County should be discussing this, because, my God, what happens if you go out and get pulled over? What happens if one day he's running down to get ice cream and he thinks your car looks suspicious, like the last car he thought was suspicious, and he decides to pull you over illegally in plain clothes and his gym shorts and an unmarked car? And he doesn't like something you do because he's something's up and something stupid happens. It's something that people need to talk about. They need to know who's in charge of the sheriff's department, who's been in charge of the sheriff's department. And look, that's just something that people should know. I was talking to Rachel about this. The president of the United States goes under surgery, and if he's going to be out for any length of time, if he's going to be under anesthesia, they transfer the powers over to the vice president, even for a short period of time. Now, it's nothing that heavy that has to go on here at local government. But if Sproles has got something going on and he's not in the leadership position, it should, in my opinion, be the chief deputy. And if it's not, we need to be asking why it's not. If he's not the leader when Sproles is not at himself, should he be the second in charge when Sproles is? Right, Eric? Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because the majority of the time when the sheriff and the chief deputy work the same shift, so they both go on duty and off duty at the same time. I mean, they're both on call, and law enforcement officers, whether you're sheriff or not, you can be active when you're off duty. If something stupid happens when you're off duty, they're just a phone call away. My point is, if he's in a position where he's under medical care, let's say the rumors are all false. Let's just say that this was a result of some kind of an accident. Let's just make up an accident. Let's say, like, for the sake of argument, he had a bike accident and it caused a head trauma or something. If that's the case, if we're just making something up, if we're just going to make something up off the top of our heads, the craziest thing, let me see, what's something that couldn't happen? Like if I said, well, I had a bike accident and I had head trauma. All right, let's apply that to him. Okay, we're making it up. He had a bike accident, he had head trauma. That could be legitimate. And if he's going to be out of commission for any length of time, we need to know who's in charge. It's not wrong to talk about that. And here's the thing that kills me, and this is one of the biggest things. A couple of these people were telling me, oh, you shouldn't have to worry about this because there's people that are the right people in the right places. I had some lady telling me fighting me for days in the comments, telling me they have fitness for duty checks and they have psychologist evaluations, and if there's something wrong, they'll just take his gun from him. And I said, Missy, this is scary as hell. You have been willing to fight me for the last 5, 6, 10 hours, 2 days about this. And you're fighting me and you're using logic that you think is logic, and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. He's the elected sheriff. Nobody's doing a psychology evaluation on him. Hell, regular police officers aren't getting psych evaluations each year. They don't give them every 5 years. You might be talking about something that happens in New York or LA, maybe. I doubt it even happens there. But we've got people calling me an asshole because I dare ask a question because I'm concerned about the people that have to deal with him, that have to be under his leadership. And they're like, oh no, if something's wrong with him, his psych eval will pick it up and they'll take his badge and gun. Dude, he's the elected sheriff. He is who he is until you guys vote him out, or until his second term is up, whichever happens first. But the only reason that I feel very compelled to talk about this, even at all, against my better judgment, is because this isn't the first time that Sproles has been in a situation where something like this has been in question. Is it? Is it, citizens of Henry County? Isn't it? I'm correct, right? All of you people that were telling me I was a bad guy for questioning this. Back before he was sheriff. Back. Remember? There was an incident where the police had to come in, where Sheriff Sproles, before he was sheriff, when he was just John Sproles, was threatening to harm himself with a pew pew. Right? Oh, it wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a rumor. And the reason I know it wasn't a rumor is because it made its way into a copy of a police report. And there are copies of that police report that exist. The bad thing about it is, at some point during the election, that police report changed. It was altered. It changed. So now there are 2 copies of the same report. It's almost like it's like a Mandela effect. You know, some people live in a world where this was an issue and there was a copy of the report that had tell of this issue. And some of y'all live in the world where it's not Berenstein. It's you've always thought it's Berenstain Bears. You're a bunch of freaks running around. Never heard of the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom. Living in a world where John Sproles didn't have this crack up back all those years ago. Curious George never had a tail. You know, all those Mandela effect things. Well, I live in the world where the Kit Kat thing looked like I always remembered. And I remember when the police report had the writing on it and the words read, they came and they got him and they took him to the hospital for his own safety. So, just FYI. Now, again, I'm just asking the question. You guys live down there. I don't live down there. I'm asking you all the question. Is it something that you guys should be concerned about? You know, his re-election is next year. Maybe it's just that I'm asking the question too early. Maybe I should hold off and I should ask it next year. Should you guys be concerned about... Listen, let's say all this didn't happen. None of this happened. Let's just go off his behavior. Let's go back to the interview where he literally sat in front of an interviewer on Fox 59 and made the craziest, most racist statements. Like, that alone lets you know somebody's not normal. Because if you were right, even if you felt that way, you're not going to sit there and say it. So, for everybody thinking that I was going to get on here and trash Sproles, first off, I'm not. And I'm going to say again, if he's got something going on, I feel for him. If he is in a bad way, I hope whatever's going on, I feel for him. And I hope he gets treated. I hope that he gets treated. I am going to continue looking into this, and when I get, and I'm going to tell you, I'm close. When I get the last locking missing piece, we will release the information. Now, I'm not talking about what led up to it and why and whatever, because all that stuff, that's stuff I don't care about. But if there is an issue with the guy, if there is an issue, has been an issue, I feel it's only right that people know about it, just for your all's own safety. And if you don't want to find out about it, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to look at it, you don't want to read it, you don't want to believe it, go on living your life. I'm the crazy person. I'm the liar. I'm the bad guy. I'm the troublemaker. I'm just stirring up trouble, whatever. Go on believing that. So that's all we've got for that. All right. I'm just wanting you guys to know there are things. I'm letting you know, if there are people out there, and I'm telling you this, that have information, contact me. Get in contact with me. You can absolutely contact me and let me know. I will keep you hidden forever. No one will ever know that you contacted me. No one will ever know that you told me anything. Okay? You can contact me on Facebook, facebook.com/Bilbrey318. That's my personal Facebook. You can contact me at the show page, facebook.com/Political Spotlight 318. Okay. You can email the show at tpsprogram@gmail.com. You can email me privately at khbilbrey@gmail.com. Or you can text or call me at 765-546-9796. And you don't got to tell me who you are, but you got to, if someone calls them and says, yeah, this is going on, whatever, you'll have to give me a little bit of credit, or give me a little bit of leeway if I don't just necessarily buy it. Like, you got to come with receipts. But if you got information, provide it. We will keep you safe and information safe, and we'll go from there. But as soon as I hear anything, as soon as I'm able to put this last little piece together, I will let you know what I've heard. This is an ongoing situation. As I stated, stay tuned for more. You don't have to. I can't force you to. If you don't want to, that's fine. I will let all you got to do is read the descriptions. That, like for example, like tonight's description. If you would have clicked on, if you click on YouTube, or if you go to YouTube, or even if you're on Facebook, that's blah. You should be at YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, you suck. But if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you can see it either way. Like, for example, the description says, after taking a week off due to the funeral, host Kristopher H. Bilbrey and the rest of the Political Spotlight crew are back. There are many topics to cover, so grab your favorite snack and drink, sit back, and let's get started. First, Bilbrey... That scared the crap out of me. First, Bilbrey highlights several records that the City of Muncie finally released. The documents relate to Dustin Clark, Flatland Resources, and the Ridenour Administration's efforts to build the new fire station number 5. Next, Bilbrey moves on to the recent Sproles Watch. Bilbrey shares the latest information he has gathered from multiple sources. This is a sensitive subject, and it will be handled carefully. Staying on the topic of Henry County law enforcement for a moment, Bilbrey shares his thoughts on a video currently circulating about the Middletown and Knightstown police departments. There is a lot to consider with this topic, and it should be looked at with an understanding of what Indiana law says about many of the issues discussed in the video. Bilbrey explains it all in this episode. Then Bilbrey discusses the recent arrest of Jonathan Paternal, the adult son of Nathan Paternal, a mentor and close friend of Indiana Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith, similar to the topic of the Sheriff Sproles. This could have been an issue that wasn't political. However, due to the actions taken by those involved, it has now become a matter of concern. Finally, Bilbrey explores the possibility that Indiana Governor Mike Braun will call a special session of the Indiana General Assembly on Monday, October 27th, 2025, solely to redistrict Indiana's congressional districts, something most Hoosiers neither want nor understand. Bilbrey covers it all here. So if you want to follow without watching, get on and look at the descriptions. You can always do all of that and watch and see what happens, and you'll know it there. So that's just a little FYI. Okay, moving on to the Middletown topic. We're staying in Henry County, but we're going to jump to the little small towns of Middletown and Knightstown, okay? And we're going to talk about this. So I don't know how many of you out there are aware of this situation or not. I know that there are a lot of people that have been talking about it, but there were some people I talked to, and they were like, I did not have a clue that any of this was going on. Okay, probably the best thing to do is to show you the video that's spreading around and to talk about this. So we're going to put this up here on the screen, and I'm going to show this to you so you guys can see this. For those that have seen it, we'll get through it really quickly. For those that have not seen it, then you'll know what we're talking about. Okay, here is this video. This is up here. The guy's name is Dominic Izzo, and he is a content creator that looks at a lot of police videos, police corruption, police doing wrong things. Now, I'm not specifically in the world of like anti-police videos and whatnot. Like if there's something that ties in specifically politically, or if it's like crazy corruption, I'll deal with it. But I'm not somebody that's just out here hating the police. That's just not what I do. Okay. So let's watch this and we'll talk about what's going on here.
That I take personally in law enforcement with the criticism I get is all the fucking trolls who are in my comment section. Oh, you were just a suburban cop. You don't know what real crime is like or real corruption is like. Because the public, for some strange reason, is so ignorant. They think that the only real police, legitimate agencies out in America are in New York, NYPD, Chicago PD, LA, the bigger agencies. They don't realize that 80% of the cops in America come from these smaller towns that are so unequipped, they're so ill-trained, they're so solo by themselves, and a lot of the corruption exists in these smaller towns and often goes overlooked because why would the media care about a town that's got less than 10,000 people in it? It doesn't produce money for the network. You got to look at today, Middletown and Kingstown, Indiana, two small sub 10,000 villages in the Midwest in Indiana. Relatively low crime rates, all this stuff. But again, I'm just planting this seed. I'm not saying anything is wrong with this. I'm saying it needs to be looked into. Now, again, I think we need to go after the top. I think that all this TikTok and Instagram bullshit with these cops who are misbehaving on duty, who hold more power than any citizen ever could. I mean, cops, let's not mince words. They have the ability to take your freedom and or life if they can articulate it. And they're usually covered up when they do something shitty by their towns. So this is Dave Wagner. He's the council president of Middleton, and this is Roger Hammer, who's the village president, council president of Knightstown. So these are the two men who are ultimately 100% responsible for the ongoings of the police in their agency, and they...
Yes and no. So the presidents aren't responsible. A small town department that doesn't have a mayor, but only has a council. It's a majority vote. So being president of the council, all that does is it leads the meetings. It doesn't mean anything. They're not the mayors. They're not in charge. They're not the end all be all for the police department or the street department or the water department or anything else. They're just one of 5 votes. Okay. So whatever, these people, look, I don't know either one of these men, so I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them. But we're gonna get into this and let you hear what's going on. I'm gonna stop this and correct the record as we're going along. And listen, I'm also I'm not picking a fight with Dominic Izzo. I think Dominic does a lot of good work, and he puts a lot of great information out there. I like a lot of what he does, but there's something that people need to be aware of when watching any video like this, even when watching a video like mine. All right. And we'll talk about that in just a second.
Need to be held accountable and featured. Now, I'm not saying anything is corrupt. I'm saying that if you think you're a cop and nobody's looking at you, you're out of your mind. Again, you guys think I hate female cops. Actually, 2 female cops out there made the biggest difference in my life, and they shaped the form of my career. One of them was actually an academy instructor that I was under, who actually told us that you live your life in a fishbowl. And what she said had a profound impact on my life. Everyone is looking at you as a cop. So just know, if I ever feature you on any of my social media as a cop, it's because somebody's watching you and they send me your shit. It's that simple. This is Chief of Police Landon Dean. Landon Dean. You could zoom in on his badge. He's the Chief of Police for Middleton, right?
He's the Chief of Police of the Middletown Police Department. Middletown. TOWN. It's not ton. Middletown. Whatever. You know, I mispronounce shit all the time. Okay. He is the Chief of Police of Middletown. He retired after a 20+ year ordeal with the Sheriff's Department. Worked there for 20-some years. He's now in Middletown. Okay. Keep going here.
We need to start there. Incidentally, Landon Dean is also the Chief of Police for Knightstown. I don't know how this works. I've been out of the game for so long, but Chief of Police is top salary. I don't know if they have insurance and benefits, and I don't know if it's a mutually agreed thing between both towns.
Okay, so here's the bottom line, okay? Whether you like Landon, you don't like Landon, you think he's a good guy, you think he's a bad guy, whatever the deal. Okay, I get that. We just have to talk in... I try to do everything I can to talk in the truth here, okay? So it is... Take Landon out of it for a moment, okay? Put in Mr. Rogers. Put in John Doe. Landon lives in Knightstown. He's lived in Knightstown forever. Everybody knows that. He is the Chief of Police in Middletown. Okay, when he quit the Sheriff's Department, he became the Chief of Police in Middletown. Then at some point, after a couple of a year or two of working in Middletown, Frank Beatrice quit in Knightstown, and they were looking for an interim chief or something going on. Well, Landon, the Middletown Police Department, the Middletown Town Council, the Knightstown Police Department, and the Knightstown Town Council, they came up with an agreement. They came up with a way to work it to where Landon would basically be doing a lot of the same work, obviously the same job for both towns. They have it covered. It's worked out. The town the town council's been okay with it. The town people, there's people that gripe, but for the most, they've been okay with it. They've gotten coverage. The issue was the Knightstown Police Department, which has been, historically been a department that has had a high number of officers, full-time, reserve, and they've been pretty well staffed. They were wildly understaffed. They got down to the point where they were like only one or two full-time guys there and maybe only a reserve or two, maybe not even that. So they were in a real serious crisis where they were saying, we aren't being able to cover the town. So they came up with this idea to swear these guys in, like dual swearing them in. They were sworn in Middletown, and a lot of the Middletown officers, reserve or full-time, I think just mostly the reserve, were also sworn in Knightstown, and Landon was the same, and Landon would do the work in Middletown, Landon would do the work in Knightstown, and that would kind of help give coverage in both areas, and they could build it up, and then that would slowly stop to go away. And it's just, I think still right now is an interim thing. I don't think it's totally full-time, whatever. I think it's just to help Knightstown out. And I think from what I've heard that Landon said that, he has no problem doing both roles and would like to do both roles if that's what they decide to keep or whatever. But I don't think there's been any major issue. I haven't heard much chaos out of Knightstown, honestly. Haven't heard about them doing a bunch of craziness. Haven't heard a bunch of craziness out of Middletown. From everything that I've heard, the people of those towns, for the most part, back their department and support their guys and girls. And the same thing with Middletown. Most of the people back their department and support their guys and the girls, and everything's been going smooth from everything that I've heard. Okay, so I don't think that this is a situation where Landon's making $60,000 at Middletown and he's making $60,000 down at Knightstown. First of all, I don't think they pay that much. I think it's not something that, he's retired from the sheriff's department. This is like a after I've retired, picking up a gig. Okay. Now, this has got nothing to do with Landon Dean. This same thing could be if it was John Doe or anybody else. Okay. So if for the people that like Landon, great. For the people that don't like Landon, great. Whatever the deal is. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the situation. This is not the only thing like this that I've ever heard of. This is a common thing for small towns. This is not like we're talking about the chief of police of Muncie and the chief of police of Anderson. This could not work in Muncie and Anderson. This would not work in Muncie and Anderson. This is something that could be pulled off at a small town. I will tell you, I've heard of another time I've heard of a situation like this was right here in Delaware County when there was the Delaware County sheriff, and it happened for several years in a row. There was a Delaware County sheriff's deputy who lived in Selma, and he was a sheriff's deputy. He was actually a corporal on the sheriff's department, and he was also the chief of the Selma Police Department. Nobody pitched a bitch about that. He had a couple of officers that worked underneath him. Most of them were full-time on the sheriff's department, worked as reserves in Selma, and they were all guys that lived out in Selma. When that man retired from the sheriff's department, retired from Selma, his son, who was a sheriff's deputy, then took the role over. He was a sheriff's deputy, and he then became the chief of Selma. And it's a thing that they worked out where, most of the guys getting paid from the sheriff's department, Selma pays him a little bit, to kind of just make it worthwhile, and they get protected. Okay. This is a common thing. It happens. All right, here we go.
But if we have to go back to both village presidents, Hammer and Wagner, did you guys come up with some type of agreement between the two towns? Which
yes,
they're a considerable distance apart. That you could have one man Chief Dean supervise effectively over both departments? Are you guys mutually paying him? Is he getting 2 salaries? This is just somewhere to start. So again, two municipalities, the same chief. And we all know how under the radar, nepotism is a thing. Apparently this is Officer Dean, who is Chief Dean's son, working for the Middleton Police Department right now. But I'm sure he's had a very stellar career.
That's common in law enforcement. Again, take the deans out of it. Police, fire, EMS, they tend to be legacy jobs that grandpa goes into, son goes into, brothers. There's very common in City of Muncie for somebody's dad to be a Muncie officer and their uncle to be a sheriff's deputy. And the deputy's son or sons grow up, and they've been growing up in the sheriff's department, but they get hired on MPD. And the MPD officers' sons grow up, and they've all been growing up in the city police department, but they get hired in the sheriff's department. Happens all the time, man. It's very common. It's very common.
And considering the fact he comes from a law enforcement legacy family, we have nothing to worry about. But it's up on Middleton's own website that Officer Dean, apparently this is Police Chief Dean's son, he just started his career as a reserve police officer in 2025. In less than 6 months, he was promoted to a full-time officer. And he plans to attend the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy at the beginning of the year, 2020.
Okay, now, this is something, again, you have to remove. People cannot like Landon Dean and his kid or whatever all you want. Let's just talk about Chief John Doe, and he hires patrolman, Dum Dum. Okay, so Dum Dum is a reserve for a little bit, and then an opening comes up reserve, full time. So he says, "All right, I want to take that position," and they run him through and they hire him. When you get hired as a police officer, first and foremost, you take a class. It's called the 40-hour pre-basic. And that is what gives you your law enforcement powers, your law enforcement ability. It gives you your arrest power, gives you your ability to do what you're going to do. And it teaches you a lot of things that you're taught in a classroom setting. You go through defensive tactics, you go through firearms, you go through EVOC, emergency vehicle operations. You go through a lot of things that you are the primary things. Then you go through a field training position where you are not the lead person. You're not out there just taking calls and shooting people. You're riding with other trained and experienced officers who are going through a program to teach you, what you need to be doing. And that's how it goes, because there are some states out there that they say, if you get hired, you go to the academy immediately and you're not an officer till you get out. That's not how Indiana does it. That's not how it happens. Okay. In the state of Indiana, you get hired, you go through your 40-hour pre-basic immediately, you start going through your field training, and you might go to the academy 2 weeks later. You might go 2 months later. You might go 6 months later. The bottom line is you have to go to the academy. You have to get to the academy within a year of your hire-on date. I've known cases where there's been a reserve who's been a reserve for, say, like 3 or 4 years, and he finally gets hired on full time, and he's working, and their academy's pushed out, and then something happens, and it gets pushed out again, and that guy has had to actually leave and stop working for a couple of weeks, maybe as much as a month, until he actually gets to the academy, because it's not happened within that year date. That's happened before. But that is under Indiana law. That's not something that's just happening because Landon Dean's the chief and his son got hired or whatever. That is what goes on in Indiana. Should it be changed? Should it be changed? Does it need to be changed? Maybe. but you got to contact state legislatures. Now, legislators. Now, I'm not saying that, we just had the crazy thing with the reserves. I'm not saying that we need to come through and gut the reserves. If you did away with reserves, you would be in very serious trouble. Okay? I'm just saying there are things that need to be looked at, but this is not something that's happening just because this is Landon Dean and his son. This is just something that's happening because it's the state of Indiana. All right, let's move on.
26. Only in America can somebody not be a cop, get hired as a cop, still not a cop, be promoted to a full-time cop, and then attend the academy. I know as a 50-year-old man, God forbid I have a heart attack, I want somebody performing surgery on me who plans on attending medical school in the near future, but the hospital had the stellar fortitude to hire them just to wind up taking care of me. This, of course, we know this nepotism runs rampant in America. It's all over the place. But again, remember, this shit only happens in big towns, right? Nothing happens in small towns that you guys ever want to sit there and consider could be affecting where you live or the righteous cops who are serving on those departments. And I'm sure Middleton has some amazing standards for their police. I mean, this is Officer Paget. Can't even remotely think of what they would call you behind the scenes, Piglet. But holy shit, this training standard, this is what would be showing up if you're in Middleton, the standards of police in your small town that apparently no one in America cares about and that you're depending on.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm a big dude. Okay. Just, it is what it is. I'd like to think that I'm not that big. Man, I've got viewers that probably think that I am. I don't think that I'm that big. That is a concern. That is a concern that I think people could have. Now, I'm not going to be shitty to this officer. It just is what it is. If people have issues with this, I can understand that. I like the whole thing that Hegseth said a couple weeks ago when he was talking to the generals. He's like, no more beards, no more fat generals. We're going to all start getting out and getting to work, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Like I completely understand that. I want to show you something here. I'm going to pull this up really quickly and we'll get back. I'll come back to this video. I'm going to show you something. This is something I can, look, this guy's not full-time. I don't know this. I guess he could be. I doubt very seriously that this guy could have passed there's no way, in my opinion, that this guy could pass the academy standards. I would say he's got to be a reserve. And you don't have to pass necessarily. There are some departments that make you do it and some departments that don't. Okay. I would say that they were hurting and they needed officers and they hired him and he didn't pass the standards, but he's down there. He's got the same training. It's definitely a concern. I guess it's a good thing it's not Muncie and he's not doing a foot pursuit every day. It doesn't mean it can't happen. I mean, I don't know what they would do if that happened. I can see people having concern here. I've got a lot of things to bitch about. This is going to be at the bottom of them because there's a lot more issues that's maybe more concerning, but I can see people having issues with this. I'm just telling you how it is.
God forbid this man have a heart attack. Are the taxpayers going to pay for his medical bills afterwards because he chose not to take care of himself? But again, I'm picking on a fat cop out there. We know there's hundreds of thousands in America like this. I shouldn't be doing that. I mean, unless there was conduct of Officer Paget on duty showing that he's a stellar cop and he actually serves the community properly.
Okay. Now here we go. I want to tell everybody what this is, okay? Because I was watching this and somebody was over my shoulder and they said, "Is that someone they're arresting?" Now, you're going to see this video here and more. He's talking. Here we got going on. We've got that big police officer right here. There is another police officer here in the tan pants. And then there's another police officer on top of the guy in the grand pants. And then this is everybody here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 cops in this picture. They're all cops. And I got the backstory of what's going on here. This was at the department after a whole day where they had been doing like a having like a fundraiser. They were trying to raise funds. They were trying to raise an amount of money to buy computers for the department and vests for the department. And so they were trying to raise funds, and this was at the end of the fundraiser. And one officer was back from the academy. He's at the academy, and you get to come home on the weekends or whatever. And he was showing them a new takedown that he had learned at the academy. And so they were doing it. Well, while they were doing this new takedown, they were goofing off and playing, and they all piled on kind of. Okay. And so that's kind of what's going on here. And I've done all of that. Linda, I've my cased all of it. And I'll be honest, there's not nearly as much in the my case as what people lead on to do. Tell me, point me in the direction of what you think that I need to find. Thank you. Point me in the direction of what you think I need to find, but I've just not seen very much there. Let me know if there's something that I've not seen. But so this is what's going on here. Okay. Yeah, the fundraiser wasn't all day. It was from 4. Okay. Yeah. It was from 4:30 to 7. So the fundraiser was a period in time where they were raising money. This is at the end of the fundraiser. There are no citizens here. It's all police officers here. Okay. And watch what happens.
Now, Officer Markham, you're a reserve officer, right? You were just sworn in on May 15th of this year under Chief Dean from the Knightstown Police Department. Now, listen, I'm speaking to you because you're the catalyst for this. Somebody was watching your social media and they sent me your content last night. Now, I know you're part of a good old boys club. I know you're in probably the profession you want. I understand, but I'm pleading with you not to become the focal point of any of my content in the future. So, I'm putting that out there, but I want to say you live your life in a fishbowl, and sometimes fish get caught. Now, before I criticize your hand in this, make sure fucking hit the gym. Do me a favor. I'm fat. We're all fat. Hit the gym. I expect better of you, and we want to see your career take off in the next 6 months of you being fit and a force to be reckoned with. Now, remember, girl, everybody watches. So People were watching your social media last night. They were looking at it as you were filming. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe it was just unprofessional that 2 of your officers were, here's what's going on outside of the department of the towns of Knightstown and Middletown under Chief Dean's stellar leadership. Yeah, this is what the townspeople pay for their clown rodeo show of fuck all cops to be doing this shit on duty. That's fantastic. Absolutely. So remember, we got Officer Piglet on taxpayer dime sitting on people while he's, doing whatever. I'm sure they were just fucking around. And then, you're another cop who just is content on being a juvenile off duty when the people control. I mean, how the fuck do you guys not understand everybody's watching you? Apparently that was Officer Branham, who's currently in the police academy. I don't know if times changed. This is what we have on the street. We have juveniles who haven't even gone through the police academy yet on your street with badges and guns and the authority to take away your freedom and drive fucking their pickup trucks like they were stripper poles. I'm sure the police chief knows nothing about this because he's so busy commanding over 2 agencies in the same state. Until you realize that that's the chief filming in the top part of the corner where the little shit was dancing on his own truck. It is what it is. I don't know if anything nefarious or corrupt is going on in either of these villages. I don't know. These are things you may want to ask President Wagner and President Hammer if you live in these municipalities. Why is one man overseeing 2 police departments? Why are several members of his agency not only part-time, but they haven't even gone through the academy yet. Why is one so severely overweight that if he has a heart attack or if he falls and trips on duty and breaks something, you, the taxpayer, are going to pay for his unemployment? Why is it? Why do we have nepotism going on? How did the chief of police son get hired so quickly and he hasn't even gone through the academy yet? These are glaring problems in America that you people who think that only the big city cops have issues with. Well, I have a fucking problem with it, because what about all the people who lives in these towns who we know are getting fucked with on a daily basis by uneducated cops who are literally getting away with whatever the fuck they want, because no one in America gives a shit about Knightstown or Middletown, Indiana. They've never even fucking heard of it before. But I can guarantee you the people who live there, they've heard of it. And they know exactly what's going on, as well as the righteous cops who actually do give a shit, who probably walk through those doors in those agencies, spend a year or two, and get the fuck out of Dodge because they see there's not a goddamn thing they could do to end the problems that are going on in the department. Hopefully somebody looks into this. I hope nothing's wrong. I hope that everything I said is just an opinion and maybe just some conjecture on my end that shit doesn't manifest anything. But I've been around long enough to know that I'm probably 100% fucking right.
All right. So, all right. Listen, we're going to go on because I know it's getting late and I have to get through these other two topics, but I have to say this. Okay. First and foremost, cops everywhere have to be prepared that they're going to be on videotape, or their videotapes might get blown out of proportion, or people might take it or whatever. So first and foremost, I want to say this: remove the hate that everybody has for Landon Dean, or put it in there. Do whatever you want with that. I'm not talking about all that. If you want to have questions, this guy's, and I don't have a problem with this guy, and I get where he's coming from, but there's a lot of things he said there that's wrong. I don't think there's a big issue, first off, that one man leads two departments. It happens all the time. So I don't have an issue with that. I think actually it's saving both towns money, if the truth be told. It's a good way to deal with a crisis where you're not having people that's lining up to do it. Okay. Second, if you want to talk about the cop being overweight, you want to talk about him being fat or whatever, have at it. That's a legitimate question. I'm not going to tell you that that's not a legitimate question or whatever. When I was going through my training and doing everything in the police world, this was me. I was very tiny. I actually at one point I became like 40 pounds lighter than this picture here. When I went from the road to detectives, I was at my littlest ever. I'm 3 of those people now. You know what I mean? So I'm fat now. I got nothing to say about it. Whatever. I'm just telling you that, there's a lot of other issues. That's not going to be my first issue. It is an issue, and I can understand people having issues with it. But that guy's more than likely a reserve. He's not full-time. So if he gets hurt, there might be a little pay there, but he's not going to have unemployment. You don't have unemployment on reserves. When he said there's a problem that ask why half these guys are part-time, that's a problem, but that's not Landon Dean's problem. These towns are set up to where they only have 2 or 3, at the most 4 full-time guys. And the town says, well, we want full-time coverage. So when you have a town that has 2 or 3 full-time officers, you have to then go looking for reserves, people that are going to come out and do this for free. They got to pay for their own badges. They got to pay for their own guns. They got to pay for their own uniforms, do all of that, and come out there and take the chance of possibly getting killed or getting sued way crazy for doing something for free. There are people that will do it, but there's a lot less people that will do it today than there were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. So you get some of the worst things. It's something that we got to deal with. We got to find a way to deal with it. But these are things that are happening all over. It's not just happening there. It's not a problem. The last thing I'm going to say is this. If there is not a person who is a construction worker, a military veteran, a police officer, a fireman, a doctor, a nurse who can sit and look at that and bitch about that, who will then not go to work tomorrow, and behind closed doors, under the cover of protection with all of their close workers aren't going to curse, aren't going to say bad things, aren't going to have a morose personality, aren't going to do something stupid or be obscene. You got a guy who's showing his other guy cops a takedown, and the first thing that these guys are going to do are going to be like, look, I'm going to get behind him and hump him. It's stupid guy behavior blowing off some bullshit steam. No one's hurt. They weren't violating anybody. No, if someone was saying, hey, I don't appreciate this, that would have been a problem. They were all having a goofy time, whatever. I don't see that as being a big deal. There's a lot of other issues there. But see, here's the thing. And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Diane. This was at the end of the thing, and there was no public around at this point. This was in the back of the area, and there were only the police officers there. If there were public around, if this was happening in front of the public, yep, I would have a problem with it. With the public not being there and the public not seeing this, what we have a case of is, and I said this on a post earlier, this was taken and ran with. And I'm going to tell you, this was ran with by a couple of people. It was ran with by someone who applied to the department but didn't get hired. Okay. So wait. I need to find that. So wait. Are you telling me that this happened You're telling me that this happened when the public was there? Was this seen by people in the public? Because if this was seen by people in the public, okay, maybe I can see like people having an issue. But if this was something that happened with a group of guys behind the station when no one else was around, I just don't have that big an issue with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, but somebody put it on Facebook. What happened was it was shared amongst people's private group, and someone took it and did that. If someone, I wouldn't have done this shit and being recorded. 20 feet from the sidewalk, anyone could have walked by. Yeah, but did somebody walk by? Because being able to see something, seeing it are two different things. So if nobody saw it, if this was happening between a group of guys, and because look, in the video where the guy's dancing on his truck, it was very dark outside. So if this is happening at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night in Knightstown and in the back of the police station, and nobody sees this, I don't have an issue with it. This wasn't behind the police station. It was at the bank. I think it looks like at the bank. Well, because I gotta move on. I'm just saying, when we're talking about a couple of guys goofing off at a police station where none of those guys were hurting anybody, and so if somebody wants to come forward and say, yes, we've seen this, or tell me, that might be a different story. If this is something stupid they were doing, I just feel like in Henry County there's a lot bigger issues to complain about police-wise, law enforcement-wise, than some dude dancing on his truck. I'm not saying, Pete, you shouldn't be worried about, or people. I'm just saying, in my opinion, this falls down the ladder of what somebody should worry about when we've got Sproles running around loose and nobody knows if he should be carrying a gun or not. But, I get it. I'm more upset with the person who posted it. It used to be a bank several years ago. So, okay. Moving on. And we'll look at this more. If people's got more information, I will look at it. I will look at it more. The other quick thing that I want to say here is, someone said, speak to one of the victims. There are a lot out there. They were children at the sheriff's camp. Crime Cricket. All I will say to that is, for nearly 3 years. 2 years ago. So, I would say probably the last 5 years, I have asked people to come forward, someone that would be willing to come forward. And I don't mean they got to go on the record, but come forward with me, talk to me, that was an actual victim of Landon Deans. I have put that out there, and I'm putting it out there again tonight. And every time I put it out there, no one out there has ever come forward. Everyone says, oh, there's lots of people, but nobody's ever come forward. Not even in this latest thing of all these lawsuits has anybody actually officially sued Landon. Landon is mentioned in half of a statement about him knowing about things going on, but nobody's even actually officially named him. So all I'm saying is, if there's somebody out there, I haven't heard it, I haven't seen it. Someone says, talk to Kim Kronk's family. That's not what listen, I'm not going to just make a phone call. That's not how this works. You don't just go calling victims of this and saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you. I'm saying, for all of the people that say, this guy's a bad guy, there's lots of victims and they're willing to talk, have them contact me. I've talked, I know people in Kim Kronk's family, I've said this. Nobody has ever come forward. I'm not going to call anybody, because you don't do that to a victim. My phone number's out there. People can contact me. I put out all my contact information, and I'm not saying I'm hiding from this, but I'm just not going to re-victimize somebody by calling them or whatever. What I'm saying is, if there is a victim out there that has information, and it can't be, hey, I know that this happens to me. I want to talk. I want to hear from a victim willing to talk. There's my phone number. There's my email address. And I'm going to tell you and I'm not knocking you guys, and I appreciate you saying that, and I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying, the same people are going to contact me now I've asked for the last 5 years, and that is nobody. Nobody has ever contacted me, period. And I've put this information out there. I've talked to people. I've had people fighting me. You're full of shit. They're going to contact you tomorrow. They're going to contact you first thing. Nobody's ever contacted me. So, okay. Moving on. We're going to speed through these last few things here. It's something that we're going to be talking about over the course of the next few days and weeks, I'm sure. Sex crimes hit close to the home for Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. Okay, so again, this is a very touchy, delicate situation. This happened on October 23rd, which was last Thursday. I was in a funeral. If I would have been here, not dealing with the funeral, I would have already had the probable cause affidavit. But I sent out the request for the probable cause affidavit. I put that out just a short while ago, and they will have it. The clerk's office will have it tomorrow morning, and I should have it by tomorrow afternoon. I have heard that the public access, not public access counselor. I have heard, that the probable cause affidavit is one of the worst probable cause affidavits that a lot of people in the news media have ever read, as far as it concerns sex crimes. So those are public documents. They're all public documents. Anybody can get their hands on it. If I read it and it's as bad as what other career long hardened journalists are saying, if it's as bad as what they're saying, I probably won't make it public, but I will put out as much of it as possible. And the only reason is I'm not going to try to victimize other people. I'm not going to do that for clicks and views. That's just not going to happen. So coming from 24 Site News, it says, pastor's son arrested on child sex abuse charges, plans to hire lawyer embroiled in deep fake porn scandal. So this is what blows my mind. This kid, this he's not a kid. I don't know why I keep saying kid. This guy, this 20, he is let's see here, 20 23, 24-year-old. He's a young man. He's a man. He's an adult, a young one at that. Gets arrested for child sex molestation material and things like this. And they're like, well, let's hire an attorney. And so the attorney that they hire is the attorney that works for Micah Beckwith, Devin Norick, who is a suspect in the whole deep fake porn investigation. So it's like so incestuous. It's so crazy. Pastor's son arrested on child sex abuse charges, plans to hire lawyer embroiled in the deep fake porn scandal. Indiana police arrested Jonathan Paternal, the son of Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's mentor and advisor Nathan Paternal, Thursday. The son of suburban Indiana pastor who has mentored Indiana's lieutenant governor for years was arrested Thursday on charges of possessing child sex abuse materials, according to local police. So I want to be very clear. As of right now, we don't believe that this guy has actually abused kids, but he has had possession of the material, and that people who possess it and trade in it, they make it possible. So they are very much at fault, okay? This guy is very much a creep. For his defense, Jonathan Paternal notified the court Thursday that he planned to hire for his lawyer Devin Norick, who is one of two people allegedly that watched the deepfake video of a lawmaker's wife in Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's office this past spring. Paternal was arrested Thursday after police say they acted on a tip in which showed Paternal distributing videos of prepubescent children being abused. After obtaining a warrant for his Snapchat account and Paternal's residence, police say they found more than 200 files of child sex abuse, including AI-generated photos appearing to show toddlers that were pregnant, according to local police statements on X. At his court appearance via video Thursday, Paternal pled not guilty and alerted the court he planned to retain Norick as his attorney. Norick and Lieutenant Governor Beckwith are members of a close-knit community at Life Church, a network of Pentecostal-affiliated congregations throughout the state, founded by Paternal's father, a mentor and friend of Beckwith's, Nathan Paternal. Beckwith and Pastor Nathan Paternal also co-host a podcast together called Jesus, Sex, and Politics. Their latest episode, posted just days after the Kirk assassination last month, is titled A Tribute to Charlie Kirk. Beckwith has used Life Church as a political launching pad in recent years, including hosting Kirk at his church for a podcast taping in 2022. Nathan Paternal did not return a call for comment Thursday evening. Norick did not return a text or call from comment on Thursday evening as well. The Madison County Prosecutor's Office, which is handling the media request in this case, was closed after regular hours and did not immediately return a request for comment. Beckwith, whose office is being investigated by the Marion County Prosecutor's Office for possibly violating the state's law against distributing non-consensual deepfakes, has repeatedly denied that Norick and another top staffer, Greg Pulse, viewed the deepfake video in his state house office. So that was the initial sheet that came out on this. The the court records for Paternal list the information as following. Oops. Okay. So Paternal has been formally charged with the following in Madison County Circuit Court 6. He was charged with a level 4 felony child exploitation aggravating factor found in 354244C1. He was charged with a level 5 felony possession of child sex abuse material with aggravating factors. He was charged with a second level 5 felony possession of child sex abuse material with aggravating factors. And then he was charged with a level 6 felony possession of child sex abuse materials. So he's charged with 4 counts in Madison County. Like I said, I will have his probable cause sheet tomorrow, and we will talk more in detail about that. Moving on, Beckwith's advisor was with his son in September when police executed a warrant in the child porn case. Okay. One of Indiana Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's top friends and advisors was with his son last month when police conducted a search warrant of their home. So what it sounds like is the son, the young son, lives with his family, his parents. They were with him when the police searched their home for child sex abuse materials, according to the copy of the probable cause affidavit obtained by the media. Nathan Paternal, 48 years old, answered the door on September 10th with his son, Jonathan Paternal, 24 years old. When the detective conducting the investigation conducted his search, he read Jonathan Paternal his Miranda rights and alerted the younger Paternal that he was being investigated for allegedly possessing and disseminating child pornography, the affidavit states. Paternal was arrested Thursday after being charged with 4 felony counts of child sexual abuse stemming from what prosecutors say were more than 200 files of child sex abuse, including gruesome videos of children likely under the age of 13 being tortured and raped by adult men. More than 50 photos and videos of his now this is where it gets really, like, that's nuts, but this is where it gets really crazy. More than 50 photos and videos in Jonathan Paternal's collection were videos and pictures of his parents nude or having sex, according to the affidavit. So the son had pictures and videos of his parents. Nathan Paternal, who has long been one of the lieutenant governor's closest friends and advisors, did not return multiple calls and text messages with questions seeking comment for the story. Beckwith, whose office is under investigation in relation to a separate deepfake porn scandal, was not aware of Jonathan Paternal's alleged child pornography trafficking before the news of Thursday's arrest, the spokesman for the lieutenant governor said Friday. Of course he wasn't. Jonathan Paternal was still being held in Madison County as late as Friday afternoon and had not presented a defense attorney, according to Madison County officials at that time. So now we know that he's going to ask for Devin Norrick and all of that. Police state they recovered multiple laptops and MacBooks, iPads and tablets, various thumb drives and memory cards, cell phones that were actively used by household members, and older cell phones that were being stored. The affidavits also include chat logs from Paternal's Snapchat account, in which he is alleged to have used the code word signaling that he would be sharing child pornography. He's also alleged to have belonged to a chat group titled Diddy Disciples. Diddy Disciples. I mean, this is totally insane. The child porn case, which has quietly burned through Indiana political circles and text chains behind the scenes, strikes at the heart of the powerful network of the congregations led by Pastor Nathan Paternal. Life Church was also served as political staging for Beckwith's stunning ascent to the second in line to the governor. Beckwith has routinely made national headlines for wild and shocking comments and just completely been an idiot, honestly. I mean, he like, the state party has to absolutely be at their wits' end with this guy. This guy cannot stay out of the headlines. It is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I don't know what else to say about it. Okay. it's really crazy, because it's not like this is the first situation in which Beckwith has been involved with something weird like this. The guy that he was hanging out with at the Pacers game and all of that. There's just so much. There's so many allegations and rumors. If you want to talk about personal rumors and things that have come out during the run and all over the last 10 months, that people have really looked hard, myself including, have looked hard to pass over. And then you get stories like this. Now, if it doesn't end with being weird there, this is the final little bit about it. Beckwith's advisor, Nathan Paternal, responds to son's child porn charges during the service on Sunday. I had someone, and I'm not going to name this person, but I had someone that contacted me last night and said, hey, we ought to go down to church service at Life Church tomorrow. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. There's no way. There's no way. And I was like, I'm not, I can't do that. And I'm kicking myself for not doing that, because had I done that, I would have been there for this video. And I see what you're saying there, Carrie. No, I believe the judge in this matter is going to be Mark Dudley. The judicial officer in this case is Mark Dudley. So, because there's no way they would allow that. There's no way in hell they would have tried something. That's like Madison County to try that, but yeah, it's Mark Dudley. So I'm kicking myself that I didn't go to this, because listen to this. The head of the Life Church, Nathan Paternal, told congregants said video discovered that a video discovered of him and his wife having sex may not have been wise, the person who saw the video said. No, I'm a Christian. I don't worry. I would burn. I'm worried that I would go down here and see a bunch of demons down here at this church, because I question whether these people are actually Christians or not, but I probably shouldn't do that. Life Church head pastor Nathan Paternal, whose son was arrested last Thursday on 4 felony charges of trafficking and child sex abuse materials, told congregants of his church in a brief video message Sunday that he would be taking some time off to be with his family, according to a person in attendance. Standing by his wife, Chrissy, in the video, Nathan cried and said they were disappointed in their adult son, that they cared about the victims of sex trafficking and abuse, and they prayed that Jonathan would turn his life around. The person who saw a person who saw the video said, the elder Paternal made a glancing reference. Listen to this. The elder Paternal made a glancing reference to videos and pictures of him and his wife having sex, which were recovered by police from Jonathan Paternal, the son's phone, saying that it was not sinful, which it is not, to have consensual sex with your married wife, but it may not have been wise to have recorded it, according to the person who, along with other congregants, watched the video as it played in church Sunday morning. Now, to this, I have to say that is some of the craziest writing of all time, because the video that they watched was the video of the pastor talking to them, but it makes it seem like they watched the video that they recorded privately. So it's so crazy. It's not sinful to have consensual sex, but it may not have been wise to have it recorded, according to the person who, along with other congregants, watched the video as it played in church Sunday morning. What a very strange play. Life Church, which normally live streams its service on its website and YouTube site, instead Sunday repeatedly played a service from March. When the media called Noblesville, Indiana campus of Life Church to request a copy, the woman who answered said all requests would have to be directed to Nathan Paternal's lawyer. She then hung up the phone when asked who Nathan Paternal's lawyer is. Calls to the church calls to the church's 3 other campuses in suburban Indianapolis seeking copies of the video were not returned Sunday. In a Facebook post, the husband of Beckwith's chief of staff, a fellow church member, directed congregants who missed the service in person to seek copy of the video by Nathan Paternal by calling the church. Today was focused on the events over the last several days, wrote Stuart Ellis, who is married to Beckwith's chief of staff, on Facebook. Jonathan Paternal was arrested last week after the investigation launched by a local child sex crimes task force discovered that he had been sharing videos of children being raped and tortured via Snapchat, according to the probable cause affidavit obtained by the news. Nathan Paternal is one of Indiana Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith's closest friends, blah, 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 blah. So they're passing this out if you missed church today, but they won't give it to the media. And the big thing I note here is that everybody involved with this goes to the church and is also tied with the lieutenant governor's office. So it seems like if this is going to shut the church down, can it possibly also shut the lieutenant governor's office down? Because it seems like everybody is tied to it. The other crazy thing is I stood in a town hall with Micah Beckwith 3 months ago, where a guy that had been working in the lieutenant governor's office was there to ask a question. And the guy had been let go by Micah and his team. And he asked Micah point blank, why was I let go? And moreover, why did you hire someone to replace me from your congregation? And the answer, and I'm paraphrasing here, these are not Beckwith's words. I'm putting them in my own word. Beckwith said, well, I wanted to put people in place in these positions who were people I'm familiar with, people who I know the moral character of. And one of the things that I want to talk about is a lot of people like this, Beckwith, J.D. Prescott, and a lot of other folks, John Sproles, like to act like they have the moral high ground and like to try and out Jesus the next person and try to use their Christianity as a I am better than you type of belief. And literally says this to this guy they fired. Well, I hired this guy from my church because I know him and I know his moral character. I know his moral compass. And it's pointed straight north, like boing, like that. Like, is that how it's pointed straight north? Swing, so I don't have anything to say here. I think probably what would be best, not even connected to this, look, and I'm not blaming Beckwith for this. I'm just blaming Beckwith for everything in the last 10 months. Just resign, step down, and go away. You take your weird little church and move over there and don't affect anybody else. This is weird. Very weird. I want to see what the sycophants will say with this. All right. So that's it with that. Last thing, we're going to get out of here. I know it's been a long one. I apologize, but I've been gone for a week. You knew I'd have a lot to say. You knew that I would have a lot to say. I was going to have a lot to say. That's just the way it's going to be. Okay. So here's the deal, folks. Oh, we keep doing that thing. It's my fault. I'm so sorry. You were looking. I thought you were reading something. That was my fault. All right. Last thing. Sorry. That was me. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the more like a swing and a miss. Miranda, that's amazing. Dude, Miranda, like, you're a pretty good viewer. I don't know if you've ever been here before, but if you're planning on sticking around and watching and adding great comments like that, you really need to slide over to YouTube and subscribe and become a YouTube watcher there and make your account there. It's all free because you've added some pretty great content tonight. I love it. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about. It's this deal with Braun, man. I was saving my words, all my words for you guys. That's exactly true. So it looks like this redistricting thing is going to happen. Braun is set to call lawmakers back to the State House for a redistricting vote, even though nobody wants it. It's nonsensical. Governor Mike Braun is expected to announce as soon as Monday plans to call state lawmakers back to the State House for a special session to vote on the controversial mid-cycle redistricting plan promoted by President Donald Trump. Okay. I just think that this is a thing that doesn't need to happen. Like, I'm a conservative. I want good people to win. I'm not happy with the Republican Party right now in the state of Indiana, man, or a lot of other places. Okay, it is what it is. Expected move is disclosed by 3 sources familiar with the governor's plans. Follows months of lobbying by Trump and the administration for Indiana to redraw its congressional maps. This is so horrible. Before the 2023 census, currently 7 of Indiana's 9 districts are represented by Republicans, and advocates of redistricting say that the new maps could give the GOP a strong shot at all 9 seats. What does it matter if we get 2 or 3, 7, 2. What does it matter if we get 2 more Jefferson Shreves? Who gives a shit? Yeah, I'd like to beat Andre Carson, but I'm also okay with him being there. If you know what? I'd also like to beat all 9 of them. None of them are worth a damn. When are we? What can we do to actually get some good congressional candidates? That's what I'd like to ask. What can we do? How can we redistrict this to get actually good elected officials? The answer is nothing. Each of the 3 sources spoke under the condition of anonymity because they weren't authorized to discuss the matter publicly. 5 additional sources with ties to the State House said they were informed of the governor's plans to call a special session, but did not know when he would do so. The source said they did not know when Braun would direct lawmakers back to Indianapolis, but said the session would likely occur before the legislature's scheduled organizational day, which is again on November 18th. That day, which is typically a ceremonial day meant to kick off the next year's session, could also be used for a redistricting vote. The legislators' last special session came in 2022, when then Governor Eric Holcomb called a special session to address the state's abortion law after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Braun's plan to call a special session on redistricting follows a statement from the Senate Pro Tem Roderick Bray's office on Wednesday stating not enough Senate Republicans support redistricting to pass the legislation. So listen how crazy this is. Roderick Bray is against this, or he's not against it. He would do it. He'll do whatever he's told. But he's at least coming out and admitting, hey, the Senate's not in favor of this. So you know the Senate Democrats won't be. And if Bray is saying not enough Republicans are involved with it, what kind of nightmare? This is going to be so stupid. Braun is so stupid. And I'm telling you, if we don't make this turd a one-term governor, we are so stupid. And that's all I got to say about it. We will obviously be following this next year. Next year, a lot of time is going to be devoted to the state races and to what's going on at the State House, because some major changes need to happen. But honestly, I don't think it's going to matter, because I don't think enough people are going to run that's going to be worth a damn. Folks, we still need somebody that's out there running. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to say this. Are there, well, I'm not going to know. We need some people to run against JD. We need a good Republican to run against JD. Somebody who actually has a chance. Please come on. We need some people to run against Scott Alexander and Kyle Pierce and Corey down 54 and every single one of them, man. We are in such a world of hurt when it comes to state government and really local government too. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a show. Let me tell you, it's been a long show. Sorry for being so long, but you know, it is what it is. We sometimes do this if we are gone, specifically like a night or two. We were gone for an entire week. So we are back. Tomorrow we'll have some good information for you. I've got to make some phone calls. I'm going to be calling the Henry County Sheriff's Department to find out who's in charge. I got to be calling Amber Green at the Communications Director of Muncie to find out what's going on with my record request, why it is lacking, and we have some stuff I'm going to be following up on the public access, or on the, I keep doing that, on the probable cause affidavit for this arrest, and a couple of other things. So tune in tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we'll have more about all of this and much, much more. We've got a lot to do with the City of Muncie with reference this fire station thing, and of course, whatever else comes as it comes. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great day back to the work week tomorrow, and we'll see you back here for episode 547 tomorrow evening. Take care. Good night. God bless. Yeah, Corey Criswell, not a big fan. That's it. And all right. Goodbye.